Right, welcome to my room. I'm gonna tell you about books, okay? Books are incredible, amazing. It's like a movie, but on paper, okay? You can expand your vocabulary. You can travel into other worlds, like that you never even thought to think of. Like, there it is. You just open the pages, and it's just magic. Like, it's crazy. So there was this one quote that I saw. I think somebody had it as like a tattoo on them or something, and it said like, I've lived 1,000 lives. Because, like, you know, when you read, you're like, you're going into like another world, and it's so amazing and so great. So that's what we're doing. All right, so a friend of mine had an idea that I do a book haul because I love reading and I have a lot of books. So I brought 7 books right here. 7 of my favorite books of all time. And they're not all the same, what's the word, like genre. They're all different. So let's start. The first book is also a movie. Literally, it's the first book I have ever read. It's what made me start to love reading. I read this book maybe 50 times. I've watched the movie probably 100 times. And it is Twilight. Okay? I feel like people either love it or they hate it. And I feel like the people that hate it, they don't understand it or they've never watched it, because it's literally, there's no possible, you can't hate it. It's so good. So basically, if you know anything about it, you probably know like, oh, vampires, werewolves, but it's so much more than that. Like, I have it in 2 copies. So this is the first book. I got this book when I was in like 5th grade. As you can see, it's hanging on for dear life. The cover is held together by tape, and it has like all kinds of stains. It has water damage. I did not take care of this book very well, but I literally carried it with me everywhere I went because I read it 24/7 every single day. And then I bought this cover because I just like how it looks. This one's obviously in better condition. Okay, so this book, obviously I rate it a 10 out of 10. It's so, like, it's written so well, and you can visualize everything that she said. It's by Stephenie Meyer. She really knew what she was doing when she wrote this book, okay? So basically, I'll give you a summary. I don't want to say any spoilers or anything if you are going to read it, but basically, it's about a human, and her name is Bella, and she meets a vampire. His name is Edward, and so, like, obviously everything is telling them they shouldn't be together, but they're gonna be together anyways because they're in love. And so basically Edward's like, I could kill you at any second. Like, I'm a vampire, he's strong, he's fast, and obviously he drinks blood, but like, he's like, no, I'm not going to because I love you. And so basically it's like she meets his family. His family is super cool, but they're also vampires. And then throughout the books, like, it's just drama. Like, it's so good. If you don't want to read it, at least watch the movie. Like, it'll be the best 2 hours of your life. Okay? Twilight. So the second book is Divergent. This book, okay, next to Twilight, is, I probably read this book the most. It's so good. Okay, so I think I don't know if it's like romance or if you would consider it, I think you would consider it like a utopian, because it has like a different kind of government. So basically in this book, it's like a society where you're put into categories based on your personality. So say there's, I think, 5 different categories. There's abnegation, candor, erudite, dauntless, and amity. Yeah. And so like the abnegation people, they're like really nice, and they're like the people who do like community service. They help out the homeless people. Like every one of them is really nice. And then you have like the erudite, and they're like basically like really smart. So they will be like the president, kind of like they control like the laws and the rules. And then you have dauntless, and they're basically like the soldiers. Like they're really strong. And so so you're born into whatever category your parents are in. But when you turn 18, you have to decide whether you're going to stay with your parents, but it's like if your personality is just different than your parents, then you have to decide to leave your parents, and you don't get to see them again. Like you have to leave your parents and pick which category fits you best. So the main character girl, she decides, I don't know if I want to say and spoil it. Anyways, she picks a category and she ends up meeting this guy, and it's just, they are like a power couple. It's so good. It's like, I think I'm gonna give this one also a 10 out of 10. It's 100% worth the read. Once again though, if you don't want to read it or you don't like reading, watch the movie. So yeah. Alright, the next book is called The Duff. This book is, it's so good. So Duff is an acronym. It stands for Designated Ugly Fat Friend. Not something you want to be called, but basically, this book is also a movie. I'm gonna give this book probably a 10 out of 10 once again. So basically, there's this girl, the main character girl. She has 2 friends, and they're like beautiful. I mean, they're supposed to be like super beautiful. Like everybody in the school just considers them to be the most beautiful people in the world. And then there's her, and she's like, she's not ugly, but she's just nothing compared to them. And so she's the designated ugly fat friend, and she's not even fat or anything. Like if you watch the movie, she looks fine. But so basically, she has this friend that she grew up with. Like they were next door neighbors since they were like 5. So they grew up together, right? But then they ended up kind of growing apart, and he became like really popular, and she was just not very popular. So they kind of like, yeah, they grew apart. And then when they get in high school though, they run into each other again, and it's like they kind of start hanging out again, and then they just become like, you know, it's a romance. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. Read it. It's really good and very cute, and it's like very like she's very sarcastic. She's very funny. Super good. Alright, next book. We're gonna change the genre a lot. This book is a classic. It is Wuthering Heights. Okay, I'm gonna rate this book, honestly. I'm gonna rate this book like maybe a 5 out of 10. It's a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's difficult. It's a difficult read. Like there's a lot of big words that honestly I absolutely like. I feel like when I'm reading it, I need to have like a dictionary next to me, because and it's written like a long time ago, so it's written in kind of like very proper English. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I read it. I have no clue what was going on. Like I was just reading words, and I don't even know what was really happening. So I feel like for that reason I can't really judge it too much. But also I did read it like years ago, so maybe I've gotten smarter, hopefully. And maybe I'll read it again and I'll update you. Maybe it'll be a little easier. I don't know. Alright. Next book is called The Giver. This book it makes you think. Like, it really makes you think. This book is also a movie. The movie, so good, also makes you think. Like it's a utopian society again, and basically the point of the society is where perfection, like that's the main goal, is just perfection. Like there's nobody is above anybody else, so like there's no such thing as being rich or being poor. Everybody has the same amount of things. Everybody can only have 2 kids. Everybody lives in the exact same house with the exact same furniture. Everybody eats the exact same meal. Like there's no like, oh, I'm better than you, you're better than me. Like it is none of that. And I think it's like every day you have to take a pill or something, and it makes you basically lose like your memory, kind of. It basically like shuts down all the parts of us that make us human. Like you don't have any emotions. Like there's nobody's in a relationship because there's no like, nobody needs that connection or anything. And they see in black and white, so they don't see in any color or anything like that. And so it's just, and basically there's this one guy, and his name is The Giver, and he basically like holds all the memories. So he doesn't take his pills basically, and so that means that he gets all his memories. He gets to keep all his memories, and his job basically is to make sure that, you know, at least somebody doesn't forget. Like I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's so good though, it's so good. And if you watch the movie, I feel like maybe like this book, because the book can honestly kind of be a little confusing. In most cases I would say read the book before you watch the movie, but for this one I might say watch the movie before you read the book, because the book can be a little confusing. But it's good to like build your own picture in your head first before you watch the movie. So I don't know, this book so good though. I will say also, it does leave you on a cliffhanger, and she has not written a second book. I have researched and researched and researched what the ending was supposed to mean, and both the movie and the book end in a way that's like, what? So it once again though, it just makes you think. Like it makes you have to kind of build your own like ending in your head. Like it makes you think like, what happened? Did he I can't say it, but super good. 10 out of 10. Okay, next book is Famous in Love. This book is a show, and the show is just as good as the book. There's I think 2 books out, and I think there's like 2 or 3 seasons of this show. So this book is about okay, so this book is about this girl. Bella Thorne plays the main character girl. Sorry. Okay, so Bella Thorne plays the main character, and she's basically like a normal girl living a normal life. She's in college. She's completely normal. She has a boyfriend, not a boyfriend, they're like in the talking stages, but they're pretty serious. Like they're roommates, they live together, and they're pretty serious. Sorry. So she has like, it's her and her best friend. They're having like auditions for this movie, or this movie or something. And so her best friend is like, please come to the auditions with me, please, please, please. And she's like, no, like I do not want to try out for this movie. And it's this guy that's in the movie, and he's like celebrity, like everybody loves him. And so she's like, please try out with me. And so basically she's like, okay, please try out with me. And so she tries out for the movie, and her friend is trying so hard. Like, her friend is just, she studied all her parts for the movie. She studied. And then this girl, the main character girl, she literally goes in there and she's like not even trying at all. And I bet you can guess who gets the main character part for the movie. Is her. And her best friend is so jealous. She's like kind of mad at her, honestly, like, how can you get the part and not me? Like, you should tell them you don't want the part anymore so they'll redo auditions so I can get the part. And she's like, but then she starts to kind of live, like, she meets the famous guy and he's kind of cute, and she's like, oh, like, wait a second. And then she tells her friend, like, no, I actually kind of wanted, like, and her friend is like, what, but you never wanted it. It's drama. Okay, so then she starts getting a little famous. She starts doing photo shoots and, you know, like, just being treated like a famous person. And so she's just living it up. Like, she's starting to change. She's starting to turn into a bougie little famous girl. And she stops going to college. She forgets about her friends completely. And she starts kind of talking to this famous guy. And the guy that she was her roommate, he's getting a little jealous. He's like, wait a second, like, what happened to us? And she's just, and then, but, no, I don't want to say too much. I feel like I already said a lot. But, very good. I'm going to say like 8 out of 10. Yeah, probably an 8 out of 10. But if you don't want to read, you know what to do. Go watch the show. Alright. Last book. This one, it's called The Spectacular Now. It is also a movie. Literally every book I've done is a movie or a show. But the book is, I'm gonna give the book, like, honestly, it's kind of slow, like maybe a 4 out of 10. No, I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10, because it's a pretty good book. But I started reading it again and I stopped like halfway through because honestly it's kind of slow. Like, I'm like this far in and nothing really has happened yet. So it's not a big book, but the movie is emotional. The movie is a tearjerker. So the summary of the book is basically you have this main character guy, and he comes from a kind of troubled home, and he's an alcoholic. Like, I mean, the second he wakes up in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever time, he's drinking, and does not stop until he like passes out. So he's drinking one day, and he gets in his car, he starts driving, but he's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be driving. So he pulls over into a neighborhood, and he kind of stumbles out of his car, and he like passes out in front of somebody's house. Little does he know, it's this girl's house that goes to his school. They're in high school. So she goes to his school, and like in the morning she comes outside and she's like, oh my goodness, like, hello, are you dead? Like, and he's like, what? Like, who are you? And she's like, who are you? And so she's like, yeah, no, like, get off my grass. And he's like, oh, my bad. And so he sees her again at school, and she's like, you know, they're like complete opposites. He's like skipping class, doesn't do his homework, failing all his classes, and she's like straight A's, never had a drink in her life. Like, they're complete opposites. And so he's like, oh, hey, it's you. Like, well, by the way, I'm failing in all my classes. Do you want to be like my tutor or something? And so she accepts the offer, and they kind of start talking, and, you know, feelings kind of start to develop. And so they end up just, and like, she doesn't really trust him. Oh, he also has a girlfriend. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. But like, she's a toxic girlfriend. So he's on and off with her. Like, he ends up breaking up with her to get with the new girl, but she doesn't trust him, and she's like, like, you're just not my type usually, like I wouldn't usually go for a guy like you. And he's like, what is that supposed to mean? And just basically it's like, it's not only just their relationship, like things happen, like there's a lot, like I can't say too much, but things happen. And this book, or the movie, is really, really, really good. I would give the movie a 10 out of 10, but the book is it's I mean, if you want to read it, you should, because it's okay. It's okay. But that's all the books I have for today. Thanks for watching. I hope I inspired you to read, or at least watch a movie. I don't know, or do both. Can't go wrong with both. So yeah, that's it. Bye.